So one of the most important functions in our kidneys is going to be maintaining blood pH. Now, blood pH is normally best maintained by our bicarbonate buffering system. So this is where we have the weak acid of carbonic acid, and it turns into uh, sometimes it will turn into hydrogen ions and then bicarbonate. And it's going to be the main maintenance of the blood's pH using this buffering system. This is going to be very important. Now, one of the other ways that we're going to maintain blood pH normally is just through respiration, breathing. Any CO2 that is produced by our cells does get transported through the blood, and it does make our blood more acidic. So CO2 rich blood, like you would have, say, in your veins, is going to be slightly more acidic than will fresh blood that's coming in. So oxygenated blood that's coming in. However, we do have a buffering system in here that is helping us protect this. And this is because carbonic acid is a weak acid. It's constantly being broken down or put back together between its hydrogen ion and its bicarbonate. But once it gets into our lungs, the fresh air that it's pulled in has a lower CO2 concentration. So that's actually going to pull that CO2 out of the blood into the lungs so that we can expire it. And we're constantly refreshing this with new CO2 poor air so that we're able to always get rid of this. So just typical breathing is going to be enough to get rid of that CO2. Now, you may be wondering what happens in a case of, say, like athletic stress, if you, say, wanted to go for a run or something like that. Well, if you went for a run and your body starts utilizing more oxygen and thus you start producing more CO2 as waste because you're burning more energy, well, you would see an increase in the CO2 in the blood. However, you're going to sense this with the chemoreceptors in your blood, which are looking for things like hydrogen ion concentration, CO2 concentration. They will sense this, and that will tell you to basically alter your breathing rate so that you are still able to get rid of that excess CO2. Now, that doesn't mean that breathing can't be used to change some of these values, like it can. So say you started breathing into a paper bag, for instance, and you started rebreathing some of that more CO2 rich air, and you kept breathing in CO2 rich air, then yes, you could acidify your blood a little bit more that way. However, typical breathing is usually enough to maintain this. However, there are circumstances where the kidneys are going to be necessary to help us regulate blood hydrogen ion concentration. And this is in the case of something like happens with our food. So if you eat a bunch of foods that are rich in acids, or you are producing lots of lactic acid, say you've been working out really, really, really hard or something like that, or you're producing a bunch of keto acids because you haven't been eating a balanced diet. Instead, you've been eating one that's really, really high in meat. So you're breaking down lots and lots and lots of protein. You're going to produce lots of these keto acids. Or you're eating lots of wheat and you're producing kind of some byproducts from those. All of that is going to cause an increase in the acidity of the blood. So that's going to basically add additional acid in here. Now, when that happens, the blood will be coming in, and your cells in your kidney tubules are going to realize, hey, we have too much hydrogen ion in our blood, at which point they will absorb some of the bicarbonate that got secreted into the tubular fluid and put it back into the blood. They will also be secreting additional hydrogen ions into the tubular fluid so that we can secrete some of that excess hydrogen ion concentration. So someone in this type of circumstance may have urine that is more acidic. So people that eat really, really high protein diets, or diets that are rich in things like wheat, you're going to find their urine is slightly more acidic. Someone that is on a true keto diet, their urine will be quite acidic because they have pushed these boundaries really, really far. So you're going to typically see this in their urine. Now, some of these the opposite of this can also be true. So someone that eats a really, really high vegetable diet, or someone that's taking lots of antacids for heartburn, for instance, that is putting a bunch of excess, or getting rid of excess hydrogen in there. So it's actually going to cause a decrease in the hydrogen ion concentration in the blood. So when we see this decrease in the hydrogen ion concentration in the blood, well, we now need to fight against that. So now our cells and our kidney tubules are going to be absorbing some of the hydrogen ions that got pushed into the tubular fluid. We're going to be absorbing more of those than we ordinarily would. We're going to absorb as many of those as we possibly can, putting them back into the blood, trying to raise that hydrogen ion concentration in the blood. The same thing is going to be true here, where we're actually going to be secreting additional bicarbonate into the tubular fluid to see if we can bring these numbers kind of back into their normal ranges. Like, hey, let's see if we can drop the pH of the urine a little bit, or at least excrete some of that excess carbonic acid, or bicarbonate rather, that we had in the blood, and secreting some of that excess bicarbonate so that we can get rid of it, which means folks that have really, really vegetarian diets are going to typically have more alkaline urine.